Good morning, everybody. How are you? It's official now. There's a microphone. I know the room is small, but part of the reason for the microphone, not only is it fun to hear your voice amplified, maybe that's just me, but it's also for the benefit of the recording. So we're facing a mostly familiar audience right now in this room. Lots of invitations went out. It's a difficult time of the semester, of course, but we do have some visitors in the room. We do have the president of the student body government here, not to call attention to you, but I'm sure you don't mind, John Donners, right? Yeah, so excellent to have him here. Thank you for being here. Are there any other visitors that I'm overlooking? Okay, but even though our audience may seem relatively small and familiar, the good news is this event is being recorded, which means the audience, while perhaps not present in the room with us right now, there will be a future audience because this recording will be archived in the library, made searchable through the library search tools, as well as available on the library's YouTube channel. So the good news is, I think it's good news, is that you have the opportunity to inspire and to influence others beyond this very day. So that is a good thing. So welcome again. You all know me as Mike McGuire. This is Com 101, which is a communications class geared towards developing critical thinking, college writing skills, introducing research as well, and critical reading. And this semester, we have taken it as an opportunity to focus our attention on something that we've all been immersed in for quite a long time, most of our lives, in fact, and that is education. When we're so immersed in the systems and institutions of something like education, it becomes a normal part of our everyday lives. And when things become very normal to us, we sometimes stop thinking about them critically. So this course was our opportunity to focus our critical attention on this thing called education and higher education in particular. So as a part of that process, that writing, reading, and research process, these presenters today have engaged in something called deliberative dialogue, which is a technique of getting together in small groups to ask some difficult, analytical, critical questions about a particular topic in the hopes of coming up with some solutions towards or steps towards positive change, okay? So the overarching question that we had before us in our dialogue was, how should higher education help us create the society we want? Students throughout that process were asked to articulate clearly their ideal vision for our society and how higher education might play a role, to think carefully about the specific obstacles that seem to be between them and between all of us and this ideal. What are the obstacles that are getting in the way, that are preventing us from realizing these ideals? And then finally, to arrive at some very specific action steps. What can we do to move in the right direction, individually and as a community? So that's what you're going to hear about today. The expectations are very high, of course. I mean, to expect one to solve all the problems that are plaguing higher education over the course of 17 weeks is an unrealistic expectation for sure. But it is also unrealistic and unreasonable to expect this was nothing more than a classroom exercise, because it was much more than that. One of the rules of deliberative dialogue is that we should listen for meaning, not for flaws. Every person has an authentic point of view. And while you hear the students present today, you may notice sometimes they seem to be struggling in trying to communicate these complex issues and solutions to very complicated problems. And of course, that's normal. But what I will encourage you and ask of you today is not to listen for flaws, but to listen for meaning. What do they have to teach us today? What do they have to learn as well? And after this presentation, I hope that we can all enter into some conversation together about some of the questions that are asked and some of the issues that are raised. Okay? I've also distributed, and if you didn't get one, they're up front here, a handout with entitled Questions Weighing on Students' Minds. These questions were submitted by the students in the room, as well as other students in my other sections. And the prompt for these questions was, I asked them to please write a question, the answer to which might make your path through higher education easier. and captures the spirit of what they've written. So perhaps we could use some of this for our dialogue afterwards as well, time permitting. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we bring up our first group, Madison and group. Madison and group, there you are. Yay, yes, you can clap. And of course, please speak into the microphone because it's for the recording's benefit as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dante. This is Madison. That's Kelly, and this is Eli. And we're here to talk about higher education. I wanted to open up by asking you guys, what do you guys consider as higher education? Just think about it. Jacob?
Getting a degree and moving into a field where you have a stable financial status.
All right, I like it. Yeah. Kyle?
Higher education, further your education and make your future prosperous.
All right. What we consider higher education is attending a university, attending a school that's well over $30,000, being able to receive higher than associates for a degree. Though we think higher education is very expensive, we do think it's very important because it opens up opportunities for the students. That's a major key, and yeah.
Some of the concerns that we have are that it's very pricey to go to college, as the U.S. student loan debt statistics from 2017 say that American students owe about $1.45 trillion in student loan debt, and I feel like that's a really pricey number for students to just be getting an education. Also, students aren't finding jobs in their career, like in their field of study. So I actually have some friends from personal experience that have gone to school and gotten their degree, and they can't find a job in their field. So they're left with a bunch of debt from this seemingly meaningless degree, and they have no way to pay off the money. The cost of college is also inflating. The College Board says that the annual cost of a four-year school, whether public or private, has increased by 6.3 and 5.9% respectively, and it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. On average, it takes about 21 years for the average student to pay off their student loans, according to U.S. News and World Report, and that leaves students, when they graduate at the age of about 24, to be about 45 years old by the time they're done paying off their student loans. And by that time, they probably have their own children, and they're probably paying on their children's student loans as well. Eli?
So one of the best ways to save money is through scholarships, obviously. Here in Moraine, they have 67 scholarships on their website, and not even all of them are for academics too. Before researching it, I had no idea they had that many. I kind of just assumed they had a handful of them, because that's what anybody ever told me, it's one or two of them. Some of them are offered for community service, part-time students, and first-generation students too. Outside of Moraine, there's some websites that also offer more scholarships. For example, the U.S. Department of Labor's website, careeronestop.org, offers over 6,500 scholarships. Other websites like fastweb.com offer more scholarships for unique things. For example, one of the requirements was for designing a billboard. And you may not even know, but you're able to save thousands of dollars possibly just by applying and submitting an essay.
One other thing that we think you can do to help pay with higher education is do work-study programs. For those of you who don't know what work-study programs are, it's a federal work-study provides part-time jobs for undergraduate and graduate students with financial need, allowing them to earn money to help pay education expenses. This program encourages community service work and work related to the student's course of study. So doing work-study programs could not only help students pay for their college and their college expenses, but also give them experience in maybe their major or just real-life experiences in working. Whenever I was doing research on this topic, though, most work-study groups only offered a small amount of money and to only pay for a short amount of college's expenses. So we think that if they helped more with the tuition, that it would help with the cost of higher education as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll defer all questions to the end. Let's bring up our next group then. Thanks for stopping by.
You guys are going first.
Okay.
Megan, you're going next.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alana.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Jacob.
So, tell me, what makes a good functioning society? Dante?
People come together and helping as one. Everyone together will
Beautiful. Kyle?
This society is a well-educated one that not only looks out for themselves, but also for others.
I love it. Looking out for others. Compassion. That's what we need. So, we believe that nonconformist, compassionate, determined critical thinkers are the qualities that make up a well-educated society. So, first, critical thinkers will aid in finding deeper meaning, which will be useful when students research and reach new conclusions. Determination is essential so that people will be self-motivated, and nonconformists are necessary so that, because when students abide without questioning, this can create error. Scientists and historians have been proven wrong in history many times, so nonconformists were necessary for those wrongs to be wrong. And compassion should be taught in higher education for an overall more empathetic civilization. This has virtually no cons, since teaching compassion will just result in a more empathetic and open-minded future. Yes.
So when we started having this discussion with our group, we didn't just like stick to statistics and like online information. We talked about personal stories, so I'm going to share 2 of those. Our group like talked about how not everybody who goes to school can find a job after college. So my cousin, she attended U of I, and she could not get hired after she graduated, and she spent all this money and could not get hired at in the field of her degree. So she's working a non-professional job just to pay off her student loans. But then my brother, who actually started at Moraine Valley and then transferred to Loyola, had a 2-year internship his junior and senior year at Loyola, and he got his foot in the door and has a job for his degree. And they offered him a full-time professional job there at his internship.
Okay, so like Megan just said, that some students do get jobs after college and some don't, but the obstacles to this are obvious. The first one is affordability. People can't afford college because rates are an all-time high and they're only increasing. And the problem is that family wages are staying the same. So people often say just apply for FAFSA, though that's easier said than done, because financially is based solely on family income. So if your family makes just enough, then you might hit the like no aid needed line per se. And so your family's living paycheck to paycheck, but you can't really afford school. And well, let's say this problem is solved. So students graduate college and they did well in school. So now the problem is that they can't get jobs because schools don't offer enough help per se to get jobs or internships. Because according to CNBC, there's 70% of graduates are either unemployed or working full-time unprofessional jobs. College should help via the Job Resource Center. Well, most colleges do have this, but it's not well enough promoted because according to CNBC again, 71% of students visited the Job Resource Center less than 2 times in their 4 years of staying there. So we decided to tackle the problem of how to fix an ailing society with higher education, and we believe that your education and degree is kind of useless unless you can apply it to the world, and the way you do that is with your job.
So our goal is to make school more affordable, get people in and mold those people into smart students, have them graduate as creative and independent thinkers, and get them to work, which will help transform our ailing society. We know Moraine and other colleges has the tools to defeat an ailing society because graduate school is the bridge to success for a growing civilization. To get the most out of the years we spend in college, first, we must urge students to be critical thinkers, determined, nonconformist, and compassionate. These qualities are especially important in our lackadaisical ailing society. Second, we should do a better job of making the resources we already offer more known. This can be done through better promoting on Moraine's website, on campus, or through student email. Third, as soon as student skills are being put to use in a career, they can begin to advance and repair our ailing society. In addition to that, students can pay off their debt, so it's a win-win. Our proposal is straightforward and easily attainable.
Hello, my name is Rainy.
My name is Precious.
And my name is Raphael.
Okay, so if you type in Google worries of college students, first thing you'll see at the top of the result is an article by Martha White saying that the biggest worry college kids have today is money, which I agree, I'm sure all of you can agree to. Students need the money to pay for the tuition, to buy their books, their school supplies, even the transportation to get to school. As someone who've experienced how money affects one's education, I want to talk about my story. A year after coming to the US, I graduated at the age of 16. I was very happy. Finally, I can start college. I was taking the next step in achieving my dream to become a nurse. This was the main reason why my parents worked so hard to bring our family to the country they called the land of opportunities. This was their main purpose, to give their children better education to have better life. I thought it was going to be easy. I would go to college, get a degree, and become a nurse. I didn't think college would be a struggle for myself and for my dad. As the only source of income for our family, my dad had to work to provide for me and my 5 siblings. And with 3 of us going to college, the tuition was too much. We could only afford to pay for 1 or 2 classes per semester. I was very grateful, but because of the slow pace, I was afraid that it would take years for me to finish. I tried to find ways to help out. I got a minimum wage part-time job. I babysat kids. It didn't do much, but it was the best I could do at that age. During my 3rd semester, my dad got sick and had to stay in the hospital. He had to take time off from work for several months. And without our main income, with the hospital bills, we had to cut down on living expenses. I had to take a break from school to work full-time as a CNA. Now it's been 3 years, and I'm glad to be back at Moraine, but working full-time while going to college is still a struggle, money and time-wise.
Now, our ideals for a perfect society, or a society shaped in higher education, is a strong and competitive atmosphere that allows individuals to succeed independently, but also to respect one another and to not leave anyone behind in terms of success and to leave an impression in this society. Now, Moraine holds 5 core values, and those values involve integrity, responsibility, respect, fairness, and diversity. Moraine is very focused on helping the school itself and the conditions within the school, but it doesn't address any of the actual issues of affording college. Students who basically see college as an investment And some people don't see that college is basically too high of an investment to actually, pursue. So a lot of people are put off by it. Now, a lot of people see jobs or part-time jobs as a solution to this, but part-time jobs actually create a problem because it leaves a lot of people to not hold a balance between work and basically jobs or working. And so the National Center for Education Statistics actually reports that 64% of anybody working actually deals with a high amount of stress when going through school as well. And so this also has a huge problem with grade performance, as anyone with 20 hours or higher deals with lower GPAs than people with like individual with lower than 20 hours or basically not working at all. We believe that this is extremely damaging to like individual students' health and can actually create a huge issue. And so this is why we believe that the financial cost is one of the biggest issues that the school has to address.
I'd like to start off by telling you guys a little bit about my story. I was actually one of the few people that also graduated at the early age of 16. I was very happy. I was excited. I thought that I would be able to go to college right away and get the degree that I want and buy a house. That was one of the few dreams that I had. I want to be able to have a family, live in a nice house, have my dream car. But it all went down the drain whenever I realized that my parents won't be able to send me to college. As the person that came from a family who immigrated here in the United States, and we had to start from the beginning, money was a little tight for us. My dad had to find part-time jobs because he couldn't work as an engineer here. He will have to go to school for another 2 years before he could get the license, and we just couldn't afford that. So after college, I decided to get a job. I worked as a front desk at a hotel. It I earned a lot of money from doing that. I earned quite enough. I was able to do the things that I want. I was able to hang out with my friends, pay the bills that I need. And I thought that that was all I really needed, so I didn't bother going back to school. I didn't feel the need to. But then 3 years later, I realized that I had dreams and aspirations and that I didn't want to just live with my minimum paying job and, just doing minimum things. So I decided to go back to school. The first step that I took was visit the Moraine Valley. I talked to some advisors, and they told me the first few steps that I needed to take. They told me the classes. I had about 10 prerequisites before I could even apply for my major. I registered for 2 classes. But with the pace that I was going, I thought that I won't be able to finish all of the prerequisites until 3 years and get my degree in about 10 years. So that left me a little bit devastated from that. So I tried to go and find the options that I have. I looked and researched, and I found that there's about 60 scholarships here at Moraine Valley that are available, which I didn't know about. It's too late now for me to apply for them, but I never really thought that I would be able to be considered for scholarships because I thought that those are only for people who are extremely smart, and I was never really that smart. So I think that if Moraine Valley will just try to promote that there's financial aid, that there's scholarships that are available, I think that that would be very helpful for students like me who aren't really financially stable. Moraine Valley is normally really good at sending letters and emails regarding like informations and events that are going on here in the campus. I think that we can take advantage of that by also sending, emails and letters regarding financial aid informations or, scholarships informations. We also have job fairs, club fairs, and all that stuff. And I think that having like a scholarship fair or like a financial aid fair would also be very helpful. That's all. Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you. You guys ready?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley.
My name is Yasmin.
Jade.
Gianna.
As Glenn Close once said, it is a paradox that a society as which can now speak openly and unabashedly about topics that were once unspeakable still remains largely silent when it comes to mental illnesses. Today we chose to talk about the effects that higher education have on our mental health. Higher education is turning a blind eye to this, but students are being affected and will continue to be affected unless this is addressed properly. With the negativity that causes turmoil in the brain, our group often questioned, is higher education even worth it? Our hope as a group is to be well-rounded individuals in society that can efficiently contribute, and work well with others. We hope to grow into involved, educated people who can offer knowledge that we gained from our higher education to the rest of our community. Our hope for this presentation is to inform all of you how higher education can deteriorate a mental state and how it affects learning abilities if not properly addressed. We will offer solutions to help students cope with stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as prevent these from surfacing, and lastly, offer advice to those who can more efficiently create change. I'm going to hand it off to Jade.
To show a real-life example at higher education, or of what higher education has on our mental health, I have a story I'd like to share with you guys about my uncle. So he went to the University of Florida and was balancing school and work at the same time, so that stress eventually caught up to him. He wasn't able to pay his tuition on time and eventually got kicked out. So getting kicked out and not being able to meet the tuition requirements, he actually ended up becoming homeless. Weird. He lived on the street, on the beach, and even in bile ducts. Depression struck in, obviously, with being homeless because he didn't have anywhere to live, he didn't have anything to eat, and he didn't have any schoolwork. And with his family living in Illinois, it's not like he could just go to mom's house. So he didn't have any friends that were able to take him into their dorms either on campus because of the restrictions, considering the fact that he wasn't a student anymore. So anxiety filled him every day when he was trying to find a place to sleep, find food to eat, and try to find a job that would pay him more. So the school refused to help him out with his financial aid when he told them about his situation, which led him to being homeless. At the end of the semester, he eventually found a way to contact my grandma for her to send him money for a plane ticket home, and he took a year off of school to save up for in-state tuition in Illinois, and that's where he eventually graduated. So, the American College Counseling Association conducts surveys that the percentage of students struggling with serious mental health issues has also increased. The ACCA measured students and came to the conclusion that 75,000 undergraduate students, through an assessment, reported experiencing greater average stress within the past 12 months. 10.3% reported feeling tremendous stress when asked about depression and anxiety during the previous 12 months. 35.3% of the survey respondents reported feeling so depressed that it was difficult for them to even function. 57.7% indicating feeling overwhelming anxiety. The statistics are alarming for an assessment that was done not too long ago. According to Kristen Phelps, the director of Student Health Services at Biola University, college stress can lead to headaches, weight gain, chronic digestive disorders, fatigue, increase in blood pressure, insomnia, teeth grinding in sleep, general irritability, and reoccurring feeling of hopelessness, depression and anxiety, and low self-esteem. So just let out that stress and anxiety and depression will tumble out with it.
Okay, so with all these obstacles, we need to look for a way to create a balance. So we believe that there's a solution to every problem, which includes tackling things such as stress, anxiety, and depression. So here's what the administrators can do. So currently at Moraine, there's 14 staffed counselors, and with such a large number of students available at Moraine, it's not enough. So with more counselors,
it'll increase focus more on students and more available appointments. Also, to educate the students on what Moraine currently has. So not many people know that the counseling center is available. Also to allow people to know about organizations and clubs that help cope with these sort of things. Also, to educate students through seminars, through the library or classes on how to cope with and take charge of their own mental stability. Okay, so what can students do? So there's 4 steps I'm going to present to you today, and they are identify, replace the 4 A's, which are avoid, alter, adapt, and accept, and to manage time wisely. So the first one, identify, it's about identifying the source of the issue, to identify the problem and to write it down in a journal. The next one is to replace bad coping habits with positive ones, and the 4 A's, the first one would be to avoid. So know your limits and be able to distinguish between what you should do and what you must do. The next one is alter. It's about creating a schedule. By altering the condition, you'll be able to set things out straight and get everything done in a timely manner. When you adapt to the issue, it's about gaining the sense of power and control. Don't let anything control you, rather you control the situation. Turn that negative into a positive. I'm going to pass it down to Gianna, and she will talk about depression.
So something we could do to help with depression is meetings similar to AA meetings for students to open up and talk about how they feel and what's going on in their lives, and know people are going through what they are going through as well. Another solution is to deal with stress, anxiety, and depression is a pen pal system. Let me break this down. So students will write anonymous letters while other students would read them, and the other student will pick them out to which one they connect to the most, and then they would write each other back and forth and help each other get through their problems and be there to emotionally support them through anything. Now I'm going to pass it back to Yasmin to talk about anxiety.
Okay, so I have another solution for you guys that can also be helpful for stress and anxiety and depression as well. So research done by Harvard Medical University shows that the past 10 years or so have begun to show how meditation can improve mental and physical well-being. So even just sitting and reflecting also counts. So we all have the same amount of hours in a day. Just like every other successful leader in the world, like Martin Luther King and Gandhi, they're able to balance their lives and still create a change. So next time you think that you don't have time to do something, look at how you manage your day. Do what's beneficial for you. In the end, no matter the trouble we go through, it'll all be worth it, because if it wasn't worth it, we wouldn't be here today spending thousands of dollars. It's about thinking about the future in a positive light and looking back at this as a time of difficulty, but also as a time of success and achievement. Go through the hardship now and appreciate the success later. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So let's take our next group. Julian and group.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Raphael. This is Destiny, Julian, Mike, and Ashley. Our group will be talking about college affordability. Just before I start, I want to tell you guys a quick story about myself and how I came, to Moraine Valley. At an early age, I actually came here and, looked around the campus, and I liked it a lot ever since I was 21. But I couldn't afford it, so I went through, the financial aid department. They said that my parents made too much money, that I would have to actually pay money out of my pocket, which, me being 21, I didn't have the money to start school. So, I went about my business, and years passed, and I actually was, I received a flyer with UPS and Moraine Valley coming together to, help students, go to work and go to school at the same time. So I took the job there, and, I was able to start school this semester finally at the age of 27, But it's been a really good experience for me. But not everybody, is lucky to find things like, UPS and stuff. Actually, some people have to pay money out their pocket. And that's what I wanted to get into about colleges being really expensive and stuff, and they're I researched it and everything, and at this moment, as of 2017, there was a report saying that 1.4 trillion dollars is I'm sorry. 1.4 trillion dollars is the student debt as of now, and the average student that graduated in the class of 2016 owes roughly over $37,000 in student loans, and I mean that's a really big number for people that can't that don't have that good of jobs, but sorry, I'm getting nervous.
It's the speaker.
Yeah, so like I was saying, and that's big. It's a big increase. They said it's 6% from last year. Well, the previous year. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really nervous. Yeah, but that's like I said, that's a big number from the previous year, and I just hope that there's a way that we can actually all come together and find out how to lower it so more students can start school and just get their education if they can.
My hope for society is that higher education can become more affordable. At this point in time, university tuition costs are the highest they've ever been. I understand the burden that student loans can put on a person's life, so to keep myself from going into student loan debt, I chose to begin my first 2 years of higher education at Moraine because I am the only one currently responsible for my tuition costs. So I found going to a community college most financially responsible.
So a lot of students that are going to college are also working full time. Could just show of hands who is going to, obviously everyone who's going to school, but who is working a lot of hours here? So most of the room. So I am personally working like almost full time, or I was, to try to pay for college, and I'm also going to school full time. So that's very hard when you're working right after you get out of school, working till like 10:30, 11 o'clock some nights, and then staying up till almost 3, 4 in the morning, trying to do all of your schoolwork, write essays, all that, and trying to stay sane and also have a social life, because college is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have fun, but when you have all these responsibilities with work and then you're trying to make time to do all your schoolwork, it's hard to do that. So a lot of kids are doing nonstop work from Monday through Friday and even Saturdays and Sundays, when your college is supposed to be you're supposed to do your work Monday through Friday and then go out on the weekends, I think, at least. But and it's about finding that balance between all that. So trying to not work full time, but if you can't work full time, how are you going to pay for college? So you have to find some ways, because like my family is just above the like cutoff rate for student loans. So I am having to pay for all of it because my parents make too much, but then also I am paying for it. So I don't get how their income is affecting how much I should get for student loans.
So, personally, me, when I listen to people like talk about their struggles with school and stuff, I personally connect more with a personal story. So all these stories that I've been listening to today, I really take into consideration. Me myself, when I first started looking into colleges, I did have to struggle, with money. I worked all summer, just like Mike was talking about, full time, having to find ways to pay for my first semester of college. My parents did help me out, but I'm mostly responsible as well for paying for my own college, and like most of you as well, I'm sure you guys also have your own struggles as well. I not only had to go and experience these struggles, but I also witnessed it firsthand. I had one of my very best friends actually.
she was the type of person to always strive. She was always a hardworking student. She was very smart, always good grades, honor roll, and all. Unfortunately, she could not afford to pay for her first year of college. So currently, she is working to start, hopefully, in the fall. With this, I found it very difficult to watch her struggle and not start school at the same time I did, just because of cost. Like I said, she's hardworking. It was not her fault. I think based off of, informational wise and cost wise, I definitely don't think college should be free. However, I do think college should be lowered, like cost wise. Also, informational wise, like also not only my group, but other groups we're talking about as well. Information's a big thing. I also think she could have started school this year if she was more known to the scholarship marine offers and all that. She's currently still working like very hard. Like I said, start up in the fall, but I do think that informational wise and cost wise is a big thing just to be known, and I hope she does end up starting again up in the fall.
So I have a different opinion on this. I think this is more personal than social. So if you want something, go and get it. If you can pay for school, research. So many scholarships. You said 60 something? Yeah. So if you're not, like the people talking about how they can afford school, if you look at their grades, they're not even doing good. So like, how do you want free school? Like somehow you have to pay for it. Either you have to have great grades or do really good at sport, or like I did and a lot of you know, I serve in the military. So somehow you have to pay for school. You're not gonna get things for free, you know, like that's not how it works. So that's my point, like just go out there and look for it. You can pay for it, work for it, you know, like do great in school, like I said. Like I know a lot of young people think they just because they're born, they're gonna get everything, and that's not how it works. And as you grow up, you learn that's not how it works. You know, when I was 18, I was like, yeah, you know, I deserve everything. No, I don't. You know, if I want to go on vacation, I work for it. You know, if I want free school, I work for it. You know, like I suffered for 4 years. You know, and now I'm going to school for free, which it wasn't free because I paid for it. You know, so that's how it is. You want something, work for it. You're not gonna get school for free. That's it. That's it. So it's personal, not a social thing. You know, it's you. That's it.
Nicely done. Thank you very much. I thought this one. Both, perhaps? Oh, okay. Well, whatever we can do to to alleviate that while our next group comes up, we'll hopefully get that ironed out. Sorry about that distraction last group. I know that was hard, but it happens sometimes. Sure. Testing 1 2 1 2 testing 1 2 1. Sure, if you need to. We're doing okay on time. We just want to save enough time for some discussion, obviously. So, think we're good, or maybe? Okay. Okay. Would it help to turn off the computer? Okay. Right. Testing 1 2. Okay. Here we go.
Hello.
My name's Kyle,
My name is Kate.
and his name's Ryan. So, as a great actor once stated, my mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And higher education is the same way. Because with higher education, you never truly know what you're going to get. You can always get the good of higher education or the bad. Now, the good of higher education is getting higher education and furthering your education and making your life more prosperous for the future. Now, the bad side of higher education is obviously other people have talked about cost. But there's also not only the monetary cost, but also the cost of possibly your time, or that you can be using that time to do more important things in your life to possibly further yourself. Now I pass it on to my partner, Kate.
Yeah, thank you. Now let's talk about what people hope from the what people hope through higher education, and what I personally hope from higher education. In general, we hope that the higher education can improve personal living and help society run smoothly. And reports say that educated people are more actively involved in a lot of society activities. Then I think thanks to higher education, people is more educated, more civilized, and of course, there are strong workforce for skill job, for professional job in our society. And I will tell you what I hope from higher society, no, from higher education. As you know that I am the only one international student in our class, and I come from Vietnam. And actually, I already graduated in Vietnam, and I graduated in 2010, and from teacher training college, and I was a teacher for 5 years, and I have two jobs. I also work for a Belgium company. I work as an accountant. But after 5 years working for a company, and I realized that I really like accounting. I like to do something in business, and then I decided to come here to get my second degree. And I believe that study in Marine Valley and study maybe in UIC, because I want to transfer, and then equip me more knowledge and give me a strong degree to come back Vietnam and to open my own business, or to have my family run our business, or I can work for head office in Belgium. So now, Ryan, you want to say something?
Thank you. With college students, there's a lot of obstacles in their way. The students in college are recently graduated from high school, and there's a lot of pressure on them. There's loans, there's grants, there's sports, grades, but of course their education. And obviously you go to college to get a major, and a lot of these kids, they don't even know what they're going to do, what major they want to pick. And often it changes so many times. From personal experience, my sister, she went to Marist locally, went to high school, and did great in high school, got honor student, went to Loyola downtown, and she started college with, she wanted to be in nursing, and it changed so many times that she ended up doing marketing. She graduated with a marketing degree. She got a job downtown, and then she was doing accounting. So a lot of times just the majors change so many times. Then there's the pressure of, time management with college students. They have so many things going on, and you have to balance your job, your education, family life, social life, and it's not always easy. And there's just there's the pressure of having to have certain grades and, passing your classes. And I think with colleges, I've seen it more and more, is I think the education is almost kind of being like downgraded for the sports. I feel like that's kind of, I wouldn't say it's like, people think it's more important, but people pay more attention to that now.
So really what's wrong with higher education and their institutions is that they really don't spend their money wise. And this example, I'm using Clemson and the University of Pennsylvania. But according to Forbes on February 28th, 2017, in October 2016, Clemson had a $63.5 million project, the renovation of Little John Coliseum, which involved rotating a full 90 degrees, adding new premium seating, a 10,000 square foot entrance space, new player lounge, video board, and more. And if that wasn't enough, there's also RFID technology built in that will allow Clemson to customize the fan experience to unprecedented levels. Now, higher education institutions are not spending their money towards the higher education part of higher education, but more towards their athletic department and their sports. Now, we can see this, that they're not spending their money towards education, because according to U.S. News, Clemson is 67th in national universities and 126th in best value schools with an overall rating of 59%. Now, I'm going to turn to the other example of University of Pennsylvania, which their Franklin Field, which is their football field, it originally opened in 1895 at a cost of $100,000, which is less than $3 million today. Now, if we look at the academics of the University of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania comes in 8th in national universities and 13th in best value schools, with an overall rating of 93%. Now, we see that with high athletic spending and low educational spending, higher education institutions are not fulfilling what they should be. But with higher education institutions funding education and higher education at that, we are seeing that the athletic department budget go down, but then higher education is being promised and is also being fulfilled. Colleges and higher education institutions all across the world should be doing this, because it not only it makes the college look better, but it also makes the people and the students graduating from that college have more knowledge and more success within the future into their future jobs. Now, our call to action is mainly for administrators. Try to spend college money more appropriate. As we see with Clemson, they're not spending their money appropriate, but the University of Pennsylvania is. But I'm sure that there's some money being wasted in that. They could be funding their higher education part more and fuller, so that their students can graduate and be more successful within the workplace. And now, students, we encourage you to encourage people to go and to finish their higher education, because without higher education, you cannot fully succeed within the workplace and within your own life for your own future. There are so many options to pick from, and so many reasons why we are truly blinded from why we really do go to college. And it's about picking the right college and having the right higher education, just like the box of chocolates. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hannah.
I'm Demi.
I'm Kayla. Today we're going to be talking about the stresses of college. With a high price of tuition, we really want to get the most out of the time and money we've put into college. The poor preparation we feel we've received has left us struggling to catch up and unsure of what to do next, which has a negative effect on our ability to focus on our studies. According to the American Institute of Stress, 9 out of 10 students in college are stressed due to lack of sleep and worry over doing well in their classes. While stress is not automatically bad, it seems to be an increasingly normal part of life that we have to deal with. It can lead to negative effects on both mental and physical health.
So we all know the stresses of college, and if you don't, consider yourself lucky. The constant worries of doing well, along with the possibility of debt, hangs over us like a cloud that we can't get rid of. Sure, we have our parents to help us out, but we spend most of our time at school, and we can't always talk to them about these stresses because they spend most of their time at work. So we hope for the future of society is to have a more educated, open-minded world where everyone has the tools they need to find their success.
Now we're going to share a couple of personal stories. I came to Moraine after having been homeschooled since 5th grade. Over the summer, I took College 101 as a way to ease back into the classroom environment. The course description and textbook talked about study skills and time management, and I had hoped this would have some genuinely useful information, but the teacher didn't seem to care, even saying that it wasn't a real class. Coming out of that, I might have been more familiar with the campus, but I didn't feel any more prepared.
Okay, so one of my own personal experiences of feeling unprepared was when I was in high school. I took a college preparation course, and it did not prepare me enough for the amount of work that I would be assigned in college. With this being said, I came into college expecting more work, but nothing near the amount of work that I've been given.
And I can relate to both of them because I didn't get what I thought I could have gotten from my College 101 class. It was kind of just like talking about our dreams and team building, which I really enjoyed, but I don't feel like all of our dreams are necessarily realistic in our society nowadays, so I didn't find it completely useful as I was hoping. And I agree with Kayla as well that I wasn't prepared at all for what college was going to give me, and I wasn't prepared for the workload as well as the time that we had to finish our projects.
Okay, so some of our personal plans are to continue to utilize school resources such as career counselors and advisors. Also to apply to scholarships when they open in January, and we urge any students with these problems to do the same. Advising is a good place to go if you are having any doubts about the classes that you should take. And career counseling is a great resource to use if you are unsure about what you would like to pursue as a career in the future. And for students who are struggling financially, there is the Moraine Valley Community College Foundation that has more than 60 scholarships for both incoming and current students. Some of these scholarships go unclaimed due to people not even applying for them.
What we would want our peers as well as our teachers to do is just to be more invested in the college one-on-one class. Since we don't have a choice, we have to take the class, so you might as well make it like worth our while since it's mandatory. Having it be longer and having it stress more of managing the workload as well as the stress that comes along with college. And just from every other teacher, just help on managing the workload and the stresses, and just to have a helping hand with it in college from our teachers more than they already give us.
Our hope is for a better future for ourselves and our peers, something we feel can be achieved if all students have the academic and financial help that they need. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to our presenters. Now, we've saved time because we deferred the questions and so forth to this period. So, yeah, maybe, if it helps. I'm not sure which one it's coming from. But, so many of the students, of course, they've all raised issues of concern. They have actually asked us questions in some examples, so perhaps we have some questions of our own, perhaps we have some answers to offer, some advice, some insights, so let's open it up for any comments and so forth. Who would like to join this conversation? And also, hopefully everybody got the handout as well that I distributed at the beginning, which is a list of questions that students themselves, this group, as well as my other sections, have voiced, saying that if they had answers to these questions, their path through higher education might be a little bit easier. So, please, comments.
I came to comment. Yeah, sure. Hi guys, my name is Anna Coco. I'm a counselor here at the college, and I apologize I had to eat my lunch, but this is my lunch break, and it was really important for us to have a representative here to listen to what you guys had to say and to hopefully problem solve as a group. So I apologize that we're only one. I know, I think Gianna's group talked about maybe 17 of us. We're actually going to be down to about 12 next semester. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of us to leave the center for events like this and for programming. So we'd love for the college to rally so we can replace some of our retirements and some people, because then we can do those groups. I do run a group for engineering pathways students, but I would love to be able to serve students in the center. We have completely booked schedules, but also do programming so that we could just have group settings and talk about normal issues that all college students face. Number 13 on the handout really spoke to me. A lot of the groups mentioned the work-life balance, so that has counseling written all over it. You don't have to have a mental illness or suspect you do. Of course, we welcome that and we support that. But it can be something like discussing how tough it is, the financial stress, home stress, relationship issues. So it really runs the gamut, and we're here to help you. We've recently started a new I Am Listening campaign, which was based on student feedback so that we would be more visible. We wear lime green t-shirts like this gentleman right here. And you'll be seeing us during finals week. So come talk to us if you're feeling stressed out, if you want to know how to cope for you as an individual, because coping looks different for each of us. And we can sit down and do that confidentially in our offices, or we can just have a conversation in the hallway. It doesn't have to be formal. Okay. I just wanted to get that in. I do have a 12 o'clock appointment, so but thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Anna. Really appreciate your being here. I know you took your lunch hour, so thank you for doing that. It's okay. Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions from our group here? And Anna did mention she's leaving, of course, but she did. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm just going to comment on your comment. Okay. She did mention the pressures that the counseling office is under. You know, they're all down to 12 full-time counselors. That's not very many for a school of this size. And she mentioned we need to rally. And I am curious to know if you know how we can rally, how we as students, or you as students, how can put pressure on our college to fill vacant positions and so forth. I don't know if anybody has thoughts on that. Because these are the positions that serve you, right? But anything, any questions at all?
Well, your teacher, Professor McGuire, gave me a very good jumping off point, honestly, and that was the fact of the rallying points that we have the things like, you know, if you guys have issues with the counseling center having less employees, I heard a lot of talk, a lot more in this group than last period, about work-life balance and mental health and stuff like that. And if that is a major issue to you guys, that is exactly what student government here is for. Because the message that I, in my time with student government, have really been trying to convey to students is we can do a lot for you, but we can't do it without student involvement. Because if students don't show something that they care about, then there's not much of a reason for us to put the resources into it, for us to try and make something happen if we don't have concrete evidence that that's what students want. And so first and foremost, we really need your feedback. We recently, about 2 weeks ago, had an event in the library where we had a student feedback panel. It went pretty well. We got about a class full of students, but our goal was to have a decent bit more, and that's the thing, is we need more students to give their opinion. I know it's difficult to figure out where these things are, to know where these opportunities are, but at the end of the day, we really want your feedback. We're doing a campaign right now, and because it's a little bit difficult to get students to do stuff, and believe me, as a student myself, I know that it's difficult to be motivated to do things. There is a prize if you give a suggestion to our suggestion box. You'll be entered to win a gift from the bookstore, so it can help you with your academics. We have a box in the U building at S Street, if you know where that is, between the S building and the U building. And we have one in the library as well. And I also wanted to mention that if there's something that the students want, you can be as involved in it as you would like to be. Because we, at student government, we create committees about issues if there's enough support for those issues. And if you want to lead that charge and you're doing well on it, you present, a good game plan, you can do that, because that's what we're all about. And I heard a lot from you guys about, especially last period, but also this period, about basically being able to find things out. And that's something that I've thought since day one, and so I'm happy to hear that other people are corroborating that belief with me. And I would like to pass the question on to you guys as to what is the best way to reach you. You don't need to lie and say, oh yeah, I check my email every day. I don't even check my email every day. Most teachers don't either. And so what's the best way to get in contact with you guys?
When it has to do with scholarships and financial aid, I think that student email would be fine with that, because you can download student email onto your mail app on your iPhone or whatever, and I'll check that every day, so that'll work. And you can also do the Remind Me app. We do that for a lot of classes. That would also be really helpful if we could do that for scholarships, important events, not what's going down in the U building. I don't think anybody. I mean, just kidding. But yeah, student email. I think College 101 does a pretty good job of like having scavenger hunts or like trying to locate buildings and library and like the library and what tools that the library has to offer. I think they do a pretty good job of that, and they should continue to promote it like that.
All right, does anybody else have input on how to best reach you guys? Well, I heard you mentioned the Remind app, and it has text messaging kind of built into it. I heard you say text messaging, and a lot of people last period said that. So can I have about a show of hands of how many people honestly use the Remind app, and if you don't already have it downloaded, will download it? All right, it's a pretty decent amount, so this is great feedback because that's something that I never even thought of, and that's why it's important to ask you guys these type of questions. What about in terms of social media? I know that increasingly people tend to pay attention more to Twitter and Snapchat a lot more than Facebook nowadays. In terms of those social medias, could I have a show of hands of which one you check the most and you would actually check with a student government Facebook page or Twitter page or something like that? So for Facebook, can I have a show of hands?
I think that's one.
It's all right, man. All right, so how about Twitter? Instagram? Snapchat? Okay. So around the same as the other period. And so to, I guess, conclude my little rambling before I ask you guys if you have any direct questions for me, I would like to say that even though student government meetings are over for this year, like the official big meetings, the General Assembly meetings, you can still stop by if you want to contact us. We have an office on the second floor of the U building. If you know where the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society is, we share an office with them. And you could come in there, and if there's not one of our representatives in there, you could leave a note. But what we want to hear most is your feedback, because these type of issues are things that we are fully willing to tackle. You can email me personally. My student email is up there, so you know it's that, and then with the MVCC, blah, blah,
Moraine Valley, student.morainevalley.edu, right?
Yeah. And we also are working on a website similar to the school website, and I guess if you would want to write that up there, we have, I made a shorter version of it because it's the SharePoint website, tinyurl.com/MVCCSGA. tinyurl.com/MVCCSGA. And we do have a section where you can post and, you know, discuss things, talk about the issues that you are passionate about, that you want to see addressed. And so I strongly encourage you guys to also check that out. Does anybody have any questions directly for me or any comments about that?
How often do you do the like I think you said student feedback or the Q&A like panels or stuff? Like how often do you do those?
Well, we did the first one 2 weeks ago, and it was something I wanted to do for a very long time. But as is with anywhere, there's a lot of red tape in the way and stuff like that. And so it's the type of thing that I would love to do even as often as monthly. But the issue is, as I said before, student attendance and student involvement, because that's really the crux of it, is it's, you know, a cooperative relationship. Student government can only do things for the students if the students are involved as well.
Okay. Yeah, because that sounds something like I would actually be interested in attending, you know, but I never knew about it.
So yeah, we'll try and roll out things with the Remind app, Twitter, Snapchat, hopefully get more people more involved. And I would also like to mention that student government's completely open to anyone joining, as even if you don't meet the GPA requirement, you can still attend the meetings as an unofficial member. And so we would love more people to be involved, giving their input and helping us kind of solve problems and figure things out.
All right, thank you.
I think I'll bring Mike.
There was another.
So you keep talking about involvement. So how would you become involved if there's school, there's work, and you have responsibilities to do? So you keep talking about involvement. How can we become involved and still balance out other things in our lives?
That's something that I also really connect with because I work at the same time, and I have realized that even with trying to get the members of student government to come to the General Assembly meetings at the same time is difficult because everybody has a different schedule. And so that's why recently I've been trying to emphasize lots of different alternative ways to be more involved, like through social media, like through the website, where wherever you are, you could just, spend a couple minutes to make a post about how you feel. And another thing is also that if you want to be involved with something, we are willing to kind of try and maneuver things, do some more online type of activities to plan things, and then also do alternate times for events and event planning to try and tailor it to be optimal for everybody to be able to attend and be involved. And I know that it's definitely very difficult to balance the whole thing, but those are some of the things that we're trying to do to make it better. And if anyone has any better suggestions, we're all ears. Anybody else have anything more? All right, well, I'd just like to thank all you guys for your presentations and everything. There was really a diverse amount of ideas given, so that was great to hear all the different feedback, and I got a lot of great ideas from it. Thanks, guys.